At Coca-Cola, we invest an incredible amount of time, effort, and resources in developing internal talent. And we do that because our business is becoming increasingly more complex. We operate in over 200 countries. We're a franchise system, which means we don't really own the whole supply chain. We're growing and protecting $15 billion brands. So that's a huge responsibility. And increasingly, we're partnering with governments, NGOs, all kinds of diverse stakeholders to make sure that Coca-Cola is doing its part in adding value to society and making communities sustainable. So it's a complex world out there. So having talented people who have real depth and understanding of how our business runs is very important. And you don't get that generally just off the street. You have to grow that over time. And so that's why we stay with the strategy. By and large, of course we recruit externally, but by and large, people grow up in Coca-Cola and grow into senior leadership or GM types of jobs. I think a vital part of what we do is try to anticipate what the future is going to require in terms of capabilities. And right now we're working on a huge initiative called Talent 2020, which is all about developing the kind of capabilities we're going to need to double our business between now and then. And believe me, when we first started talking about Talent 2020 a couple years ago, it seemed way far away. And now here it is, 2013, so we're not so far away. But certainly, we think that what's going to be required in the future is not what we necessarily have been successful with to date. Our CEO, Muhtar Kent, talks about needing some certain capabilities in the future, and I think these are right on. One, we need leaders who can articulate a compelling vision for people. We need leaders who can inspire and coach and give people a reason to believe that anything is possible, because at Coca-Cola we believe that. We need people who can possess a worldview and can just be dropped in to a culture and figure out how to navigate it and be successful in it. People who can recognize and really harness the power of diversity. And he also talks about people who can champion action through collaboration. So step one, think about what you need in the future, right? So we're doing that. And step two is figure out, okay, if that's what we need, how do we fill that gap between where we are and where we want to go? So two initiatives I'd like to talk about. One is what we call our Next Generation Leadership Forums. And we have a Next Generation GM Leadership Forum. We have a Next Generation Marketing Leadership Forum. And what those are bringing small groups of high potential people together who aspire to those types of roles. So we try to get them earlier in their career so that we can really assess what do they have, what are their strengths, and what do we need, and how do we accelerate their development. So, from around the world, maybe we have one in Japan, but we've got 8 to 10 people from all over Coca-Cola who come in and participate in this forum. And it's not a pleasant process because they are poked and prodded and assessed and given feedback and coached and interviewed and have to do role plays and case studies and all kinds of stuff over the course of a week. So by the end of that week, we know what they have. All right, we know what their strengths are and we know where they need development. And so we take all that input and put together some solid development plans for them so that we can get them ready and in the internal succession pipeline, figure out what's the next job that person needs so that maybe 2 or 3 jobs down the line, they're going to be a general manager at Coca-Cola, or they're going to be the head of marketing in the Pacific region, or whatever. The second thing I'd like to talk about is something that started many years ago, and it's really our focus on women leaders. In our business, I think there's been a glass ceiling, as in many businesses, in more operational types of roles or general management types of roles. And so we've been very focused on developing women in leadership through training programs. Again, often those are focused on high potential women who come together and get some accelerated development through training and coaching and other things like that. But a really interesting thing we've done, and I'm so pleased the South Africa business has really accelerated this, is we've formed women's networks. So we have what we call the Women's Link. And Link, L-I-N-C, is lead, inspire, and connect is what that stands for. And they're networking groups, but they give women in our business an opportunity to show leadership. Maybe they're not people managers, maybe they haven't had that opportunity, but by participating in a women's network, they can show us their stuff in terms of organizing and planning events for our women. So we've had financial savvy programs for our women, career development types of programs just for women. And all of these things that we're doing around women, I think will once and for all break the glass ceiling.